Psygnosis was a legendary developer and publisher of computer and console video games. The immortal John Hancock here, and in today's video I'm looking at all the games that Psygnosis published for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. There was some unreleased games as well, and I'm going to be talking about those and sharing my thoughts about them. I've done many other ranking videos for the Sega Genesis, and the link is below for those. You also can rank these yourself. There'll be a link as well for that. First up, Three Ninjas Kick Back. Do you remember the movie? Do you remember watching this? It was part Home Alone, part Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it wasn't as good as either one of those. Three Ninjas Kick Back is just an okay platform game. There's a lot going on. I think there's some level design issues. It's 1 or 2 player. I didn't really like the movie, and I didn't really necessarily think this game was great either. Is it bad? No. It looks like an early Genesis game, even though it came out in the mid-90s. And, you know, it's one of the many collectathon games. You know, there was a lot of platforms in which you collect many different items, and there's some other games in today's video that works. It's an average game for me and a C at best. Pretty tough to find on cart and complete in box. You know, Psygnosis was known for Lemmings, and they did publish themselves Lemmings 2 Tribes. Now, the previous one was published by Sunsoft, and I did that in a previous video. Lemmings 2 Tribes takes the Lemmings formula and adds a ton more. Now you're controlling Lemmings with lots of different features. It is more challenging. I like what they did with this. This is probably not the Lemmings game you want to begin with. There isn't any mouse control, and there isn't 2-player support. So with that being said, I do think the game itself, if you're a big Lemmings fan, is great. I give this a solid B. If you haven't played Lemmings before, play the original first, and I think both are solid. Big Ray Liotta fan, and I love the movie No Escape. The game, not so much. They take kind of the cool idea of the movie, and it just doesn't transfer to this game. I don't like the control. It's trying to be part flashback, but part action, and it's a combination that just doesn't work. It tries to be ambitious. You know, I like the graphics. The sprites are really good, but the control or the hit detection is not great whatsoever. This is a rough game all around. As a collectible, the game on cartridge is tough to find, especially complete in box, but this is not a game I'm going to go back and play. It's a solid D. Did not like that game whatsoever. This next game I feel is kind of underneath the radar, and there is a Sega CD version of it. I actually like the cartridge version, and that's Puggsy. Puzzle platform game in which you're controlling a character, picking up various items, and using those to figure out how to advance to the end of the stage. Over 17 different lands. The programmer actually was inspired by Super Mario World, and it shows. And I like this game. I don't think it's definitely not talked about a lot. Some people didn't like how it started. It starts off really simple. You're going from like one area to another, and that's it. But it does get a lot more complicated, and I like some of the strategies as the game progresses. This is a solid B for me. I like this game. This is the type of game that I probably would go back and try to want to beat. There's also a Sega CD one with completely different sound, and you can check that out as well. But yeah, Puggsy, not bad. All right, this next one was not released in the States, and that is The Second Samurai. The Second Samurai is a follow-up to the original First Samurai, which wasn't even on the Sega Genesis. It was ported to the Super Nintendo, and it's, you know, essentially you are a samurai trying to avenge the death of your master, and you're progressing and destroying a wide variety of enemies throughout time periods. It's an eclectic combination of action, and you are collecting various things. This game is just kind of hectic. It has flawed design. While the sprites are really large, the sprites are large like in the game No Escape. I didn't think the gameplay was all that great, and it has precise jumping, and so it really kind of takes away from the enjoyment of the amazing graphics. It's not a bad game. I just don't think it's up there with some of the other games on this list that I would rather play. This is a C for me. All right, and so far my rankings. Another gem that we didn't get here in the States on Sega Genesis cartridge format was the Misadventures of Flink. Even though we got the, in my opinion, even better version on Sega CD, it's unfortunate that we didn't get the cartridge version of Flink here in the States, and I absolutely think it's a brilliant side-scrolling platformer. It really showed the advantages and trademarks of Psygnosis and, you know, their ability to make outstanding graphics. They had learned from the previous games, making a wonderful and brilliant platformer. Even though the character is a little bit slow to move, he does gain momentum. I really like this game. I think it's one of the better platformers on the Sega Genesis. And so there is a Sega CD version, was published by another company here in the States. But if you're looking for a great platformer and you're looking for maybe something you haven't played before, check out the Misadventures of Flink, or titled Flink, however you want to call it. And in my opinion, it's an A. This is definitely, I would consider, a hidden gem for the Sega Genesis, and that's Wiz N Liz. And this is kind of the opposite of a puzzle game for Puggsy. Yes, you collect items in this game, but it's super fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog fast. And you go around collecting different items, creating spells, going through doors. This is intense, fast gameplay. Now, you have to like action puzzle games. Bosses are huge in this game, 50 plus levels. I really enjoy this. Even with a 2-player option, this is great. It's definitely uncommon, but it's not ridiculous in price. Definitely worth checking out. Wiz N Liz. This is a great game for the Sega Genesis, and this gives an A for me. I really enjoyed this. Going back, I haven't played this in a while, so going back and checking this out, I really enjoyed this one, and definitely one of the better ones that they released for the Sega Genesis. That leaves 4 unreleased games, and you're probably wondering, well, where are the other games? Psygnosis made other games, but they were published by Electronic Arts, Sony ImageSoft, as well as Sega themselves. But there's 4 games that weren't published, but they were going to be released, and for various reasons they were canceled. And I'm going to look at these games because it's kind of fun to go back and look at games that weren't released and think, you know, if they were released, what would you rate them? So the first one is Bill's Tomato Game. And you know, this is a really interesting puzzle game in which you're trying to launch tomatoes from one side of the screen or across the screen or down into to finish the level. You have so many tries per stage, and you have these different options of launching your tomato, and you have these tools to slow down or to bounce these tomatoes safely to the exit. I really enjoyed this game. I didn't play a ton of it, but what I played so far, I really did like it. Is it going to be a game that I'm going to go back and play all the time? You know, for me, I need to play it more. I'd rather play a game like Lemmings, but I did enjoy it because it was something unique, and I do believe it's based on an Amiga game. Bill's Tomato Game is a C. I like it. I don't know if I love it, but what I played so far is pretty cool. Next up is Prince of Persia 2. Now, this has amazing graphics, and in just another casualty that just wasn't released for the Sega Genesis. It definitely, you know, the music to me wasn't the best, and, you know, Prince of Persia has that really precise control. Now, for some people, you may enjoy that. For others, it is going to be grating on your nerves. You are going to die a lot. Now, I don't know necessarily if this is entirely finished, but what I played so far, and I am a Prince of Persia fan, I did enjoy it. This is definitely going to take one of time where to sit down and methodically play it. You know, this is Prince of Persia. If you haven't played them before, you can't make mistakes. You make mistakes, you die. And you're going to die quite a bit. But what I played so far, it looked great, and it controlled like a Prince of Persia game. And so, you know, I'm going to give this a B so far of what I played. I did like it, and Prince of Persia fans definitely track this down. This next game, even though it wasn't finished, I really enjoyed what I played, and that's ResQ. ResQ is part Blaster Master, part Shoplifter, maybe a little bit of a Subterranea, and so I really enjoyed what this was trying to be. You're just rescuing miners, and each stage is different. You have a large ship. I think there would be some design changes if this was to actually be released. And in the released ROM, you can't take any damage in your ship, but you can get out, kind of like Blaster Master, and rescue things. I really love that part of the game. I think if you were just in a ship rescuing people, it wouldn't be as enjoyable as it is. But I do like what they were doing here. It has colorful graphics. You know, really, Psygnosis did really great job with the graphics in many of their games. The control in the actual games vary from title to title, but I really like what they did in ResQ, and I would give this a B. And last, and definitely not least, in my opinion, one of the best unreleased games, especially for Psygnosis, and that's Ultracore. It was called Hardcore originally, and this is actually on an analog SG, and so this was first to be released on each analog SG. You can play this game, and this is just a kind of a Euro style run and gun in the same vein as Turrican, maybe mixed with a little bit of Aliens. I really like what I've played of this so far. I haven't gotten too far into the game, but this definitely feels polished. It was 99% complete, and it was actually, as you can see here, Strictly Limited Games released this on actual Sega Genesis cart, and so the ROM has been finished. It also was released for the PS4 and Switch, and this is a must play. This is a solid A. Pretty difficult from what I've played so far, but I really like what they've done with it. So these are the 11 games that I talked about today. What did you think? Comment below, as I want to hear your stories of playing these games. I have many more of these planned. If you haven't already, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you have a great day.